The Galactic Consul had gathered many times before, but rarely with such unease. The great chamber of the Consul was built inside a vast orbital station that circled a glowing blue star. Its walls rose high like mountains of polished crystal, filled with light that shimmered in ever-changing colors. Delegates from dozens of species filled their seats, each bringing their own banners, scents, and symbols. They came from across the galaxy, rulers of empires, ministers of trade, admirals of fleets, and voices of ancient civilizations. This was the heart of galactic politics. Decisions made here affected billions of lives. Yet even in such a place of power, whispers of fear floated like a cold breeze. At the center of the chamber floated a giant holographic projection. It showed a single ship moving steadily across the stars. At first glance it looked plain, almost crude compared to the elegant designs of galactic vessels. Its shape was a long spear of metal, armored with plates instead of living crystal or flowing energy shields. There were no decorative spires, no flowing bioforms, no singing alloys. It was simple, but it carried a weight that no one could ignore. "This vessel," spoke High Consul Ralik of the Sarathi, his voice echoing across the chamber, "has crossed the frontier of mapped space. It ignores our hails. It continues on a course toward our heart sectors. Its power readings defy classification." The delegates stirred uneasily. Some clicked mandibles, others rippled their skin with warning colors, while a few simply whispered in their own tongues. Fear was not often felt here, but it was present now. Admiral Taver of the Dryle Alliance raised his armored arm. "The readings must be wrong. That ship cannot be real. Look at it. Its design is primitive, no better than what we used 10,000 cycles ago. A species with such crude shapes cannot carry power beyond our fleets." Yet his words convinced no one. The holographic display shifted, showing the ship's energy signature. It pulsed like a heartbeat, stronger with each moment. The levels were far beyond any standard battleship, even those of the most powerful empires. Counselor Vea of the Luthari flicked her thin tendrils nervously. "We have already sent drones. They did not return. We dispatched a scout vessel. Its systems failed within minutes of approach. This thing has not fired a single weapon, yet everything that touches it vanishes or falls silent." The chamber grew quiet. Delegates who had lived for centuries felt a strange shiver, something they had not known since their youth. The Consul was not used to mysteries. For ages they had believed the galaxy mapped, controlled, ordered by their collective rule. Lesser species were guided, absorbed, or ignored. When new civilizations arose, they were watched carefully. If they proved useful, they were welcomed. If they resisted, fleets reminded them of their place. But this ship was different. "Who claims ownership of this craft?" asked a sharp voice from the upper balconies. It was Chancellor Rith, a towering insectoid leader whose empire had conquered hundreds of worlds. No registered code, no transponder, no symbol. And yet it moves with intent. What species dares approach our seat of power so boldly? The answer came from the floor below, where Archivist Thelin of the Aelari stood. Thalin's people were scholars, guardians of records that stretched back tens of thousands of years. His tone was calm, but his wings shivered with unease. "There is a possibility," Thelin said, "that this ship belongs to the species called humans." The name rippled across the chamber like a stone cast into water. Some laughed sharply, others hissed, while a few remained silent, thinking deeply. "Humans?" Admiral Taver scoffed. "Those primitives? They dwell in a small corner of space. They barely left their homeworld a few centuries ago. They should not even be here in our records except as a curiosity." Yet Thelin did not waver. "Do not be so quick to dismiss them. The humans are new, yes, but they are unusual. Records show they expand rapidly. They adapt to worlds others avoid. They do not surrender easily. Their wars, even among themselves, burn bright and fierce. If they have come here, then it is not by accident." A silence followed. For all their pride, the delegates could not ignore the unease in Thelin's words. High Consul Ralik raised a claw for order.
"Enough speculation.
We must act. The ship will reach our patrol zone in less than 2 rotations. We must decide whether to intercept, communicate, or destroy." The word destroy echoed heavily. Counselor Vea spoke softly, but her words carried weight. "Tell me, Admiral, if this is a human vessel, if their technology is so crude, then explain how it crossed 500 light-years of restricted space, without a single sign of fuel trails, without breaking once for resupply, without ever slowing. Admiral Tavor did not answer. His mandibles clicked nervously. The holographic ship rotated slowly, its plain hull catching the light. No one knew what waited inside. No one knew if it was a single vessel or a scout for something greater. For the first time in centuries, the Galactic Consul felt small. Meanwhile, far across the void, the ship continued its path. Inside, human voices echoed across steel corridors, screens lit with data, maps stretched across star systems, and quiet determination filled the air. The humans knew exactly where they were heading. But in the consul chamber, the delegates argued. Some demanded immediate destruction of the vessel before it could reach the heart systems. Others urged restraint, fearing that provoking an unknown power might unleash disaster. A few even spoke of opportunity. If this truly was human technology, perhaps it could be studied, copied, or stolen. The debate grew fierce, louder and louder, until High Consul Rallick slammed his claw against the crystal floor. The sound rang through the chamber, silencing all voices. "We will not panic," he declared, though his tone betrayed strain. "We will send an intercept fleet. They will test this vessel. If it submits, it may approach. If it resists, we will learn its limits. Then, and only then, will we decide its fate." The chamber murmured, but none dared openly oppose. Still, doubt lingered in every heart. Above them, the holographic ship floated like a silent shadow, indifferent to their fear. And so, the consul prepared its response. Fleets gathered, orders were sent. Eyes from across the galaxy turned to one single vessel. A vessel that might change everything, or hidden behind its simple armor and plain design was a truth. No one in the chamber yet understood. A truth that would shake the galaxy. The consul's order moved quickly through the stars. In less than a single rotation, the great fleets of the member species gathered along the projected path of the strange vessel. Dozens of cruisers, carriers, and scouts formed a wall of firepower in the silence of space. Their hulls gleamed with polished alloys and living crystals, each a symbol of thousands of years of engineering and tradition. The ship they were waiting for was still small in comparison. It was plain, unadorned, armored with steel instead of shimmering crystal or flowing organic metal. Yet it moved forward without hesitation, as if it did not care that an entire fleet stood in its path. Inside the consul chamber, the delegates watched the live broadcast on the holographic display. Every camera, every sensor, every channel was focused on that approaching silhouette. The silence in the chamber was heavy. Admiral Tavor stood at the fleet's command post, his mandibles clicking as he studied the ship. "Primitive," he muttered, though his voice lacked conviction. "A crude spear of metal. It will fall apart at the first strike." His second-in-command, a Dryle warrior named Kareth, looked less certain. "Admiral, its energy readings remain high. Higher than anything I have seen." "False data," Tavor snapped. "We will test it now." The order went out. A group of scout frigates moved forward, small and fast, darting through the void with glowing trails behind them. They spread out in a crescent shape, their weapons powered but not yet fired. The human ship did not react. It simply kept its steady course, ignoring them as though they were insects circling a mountain. In the consul chamber, murmurs rose. "It does not even acknowledge them," Counselor Vea whispered. "Perhaps it is unmanned," Chancellor Rith suggested. "An automated probe. Destroy it now before it reaches us," but Archivist Thelen shook his head. "No, look closer. The course corrections it makes, and see there and there, those are not machine patterns. They are too human." The delegates leaned closer to the projection. Indeed, the vessel adjusted its path by the smallest degrees, almost like a sailor trimming sails to catch a shifting wind. No machine logic, no programmed autopilot. There was a mind guiding it. The first test began. One of the frigates fired a warning beam, a lance of controlled plasma meant to signal, not destroy. It streaked across the void, passing directly in front of the human vessel like a blazing barrier. The ship did not slow. It did not turn. It passed through the fading plasma as though it were mist. Admiral Tavor's mandibles clicked harder. "So be it, fire again. Direct strike." The second beam lanced forward, brighter, stronger. This time it struck the hull directly. The consul chamber gasped as the light exploded across the ship's armor. When the light faded, the human ship was still there. Not a mark, not a scratch. The hull gleamed with the same cold steel. Counselor Vea whispered in awe. It ignored a drill battle strike. Admiral Tavor growled from the command link. Impossible. No ship can withstand that without shield disruption. Increase power. Fire again. But before the order could be carried out, the human vessel moved. At first, it was only a slight change, a shift of angle. But then, in a burst of impossible speed, the entire vessel cut through the formation of frigates. It moved with precision, weaving between them as if it knew exactly where they would fire, exactly when they would move. The console chamber fell silent as they watched. A ship that size should not move like a fighter, yet it danced among the frigates with effortless grace. The frigates tried to adjust. They fired beams, missiles, energy nets, but every shot missed. The human vessel was always one step ahead, always turning, always slipping through the gaps. Then came the first true shock. Without firing a visible weapon, the human ship passed close to one frigate. Instantly, every light inside the frigate flickered out. Its engines died, its weapons went cold, and it drifted lifelessly into space. A second frigate met the same fate. Then a third. The human ship touched nothing, fired nothing, yet its presence alone shut them down. The chamber erupted in cries. What is it doing? Some kind of electronic pulse? No known pulse can shut down Drail ships so quickly. Admiral Tavor's voice came through the comms, sharp and shaken.
All forces fall back.
Regroup. The fleet tried to pull back into a defensive wall, but the human vessel was already past them, gliding through the center like a predator among prey. It did not destroy them. It merely disabled, drifting past as though swatting aside gnats. The consul delegates could only stare. Never before had their fleets been treated with such indifference. Archivist Thelen spoke softly, but every ear strained to hear. Do you see now? This is no primitive. This is human. Impossible, Chancellor Rith hissed. Humans should not have this power. They are too young, too small. And yet, Thelen replied, they are here. In the fleet command post, Admiral Tavor struggled to steady his breathing. What manner of ship is this? He muttered. His second-in-command had no answer. The human vessel continued on its course, ignoring the fleet entirely. It neither pursued nor destroyed. It simply moved forward, as though its destination mattered more than any fleet in its way. Back in the chamber, High Consul Ralek rose, his crystal crest glowing with unease. Enough, this is no ordinary encounter. We must decide, do we engage with full force or attempt contact? The chamber split instantly. Some demanded the combined fleets be unleashed. Every weapon fired until nothing remained. Others urged caution, fearing that if this was only one ship, then destroying it might bring vengeance from an unknown human fleet waiting beyond the stars. Amid the chaos, Counselor Vea raised her voice. Wait, look, it has not destroyed a single ship. It disables but does not kill. If it wished war, our fleets would already be burning. Perhaps it seeks to speak. The delegates hesitated. Her words held truth. Thelen supported her. Humans are many things, bold, reckless, stubborn. But they are not without reason. If they have come this far, they will not remain silent forever. And indeed, at that moment, the human vessel slowed. Its engines dimmed, and for the first time, it held position just beyond the orbit of a barren moon. The console chamber fell into expectant silence. Then, a signal. A transmission burst across the fleets, across the console chamber. Translated instantly by the universal networks, the voice that came through was calm, clear, steady. This is Captain Elena Marcus of the United Terran exploration vessel Dauntless. We come in peace. We request dialogue. The chamber froze. It was human. A human voice, firm and composed, speaking in flawless translation. The delegates stared at one another, realizing in unison that the impossible had arrived at their doorstep. But beneath the calm words, every delegate felt something deeper. A weight, a presence, a confidence that unsettled even the proudest empires. For if this was their exploration ship, what would their warships look like? The moment the human voice filled the chamber, silence gripped every corner of the Galactic Consul. Delegates who had survived centuries of politics, wars, and endless negotiations found themselves staring at the holographic projection in disbelief. A human. Speaking directly to them, the ship had disabled fleets with effortless precision, ignored the galaxy's most advanced weapons, and yet, Its captain's voice was calm, polite, even respectful. "This is Captain Elena Marcus of the United Terran exploration vessel Dauntless. We come in peace. We request dialogue." Those words, though gentle, struck deeper than any weapon. High Consul Ralek broke the silence first. His voice was sharp, but the faint tremor in it did not go unnoticed. "Open channel. Respond at once," technicians obeyed. In seconds, a live channel formed between the console chamber and the human vessel. The holographic projection shifted, and for the first time, the chamber saw the image of a human. She appeared as a figure of medium height, clothed in a simple uniform of dark blue with silver lines across the shoulders. Her face was calm, her eyes steady, her posture firm. She looked neither frightened nor arrogant. She simply stood as if she belonged there, as if speaking before the most powerful council in the galaxy was no more difficult than addressing her own crew. "This is the Galactic Consul," Ralek began, trying to keep his authority strong. "You have entered restricted space without permission. You have disabled our fleets. You now stand before the highest authority in this galaxy. Explain yourself." The human captain inclined her head slightly. "As I said, we come in peace. We are explorers. Our mission is to seek knowledge, to understand, and to open paths for future cooperation. We regret the disabling of your vessels, but no harm was intended. We defended ourselves only to prevent conflict." The chamber filled with murmurs again. The calm way she spoke made it sound almost ordinary, yet the truth behind her words was anything but. Counselor Vea leaned forward, her tendrils trembling. "Explorers? And what kind of explorers disable entire fleets with invisible weapons? What kind of explorers cross hundreds of light years without stopping?" Captain Marcus's expression did not change. "Explorers who are prepared for danger. The galaxy is not always safe. We built the Dauntless to survive the unknown. It is not a warship." The chamber fell into stunned silence again. Not a warship. The delegates looked at one another, disbelief in their eyes. Admiral Taver finally erupted, his mandibles clicking furiously. "Lies. If this is not a warship, then what madness have you created? Our strongest fleets were brushed aside like dust. You claim this is exploration. Then what would your true warships be?" The human captain paused for only a moment. Then she answered in the same calm tone. "I would prefer you never find out." The words struck the chamber like thunder. Even those who prided themselves on centuries of control felt a chill. The humans were not boasting. They were not threatening. They were stating a fact. High Consul Ralek struggled to regain control. "Why have you come here? This region of space is under consul protection. You should not even know of it." Captain Marcus's eyes seemed to look directly at each delegate in turn. "Because we needed to. The galaxy is vast, but no power can remain hidden forever. We seek not to dominate, but to be recognized. Humanity is here now. You cannot ignore us," Archivist Thelen whispered softly, but all could hear. "They are demanding recognition." "Not asking, demanding." Counselor Vea tilted her head, eyes locked on the human captain. "Recognition comes with responsibility, with obligations, with respect for the consul's laws. Why should we grant you such honor?" Captain Marcus's answer came without hesitation. "Because you have already seen what we can do. Because you know that humanity will not be dismissed as a minor species, and because if peace is to last, we must speak as equals." The chamber shook with arguments. Some delegates shouted in outrage. Others murmured about opportunity. A few sat in silence, lost in thought. Admiral Tavor raised his voice above the noise. "This is madness. They are too young, too reckless. They must be crushed now before they spread further." But Chancellor Rith countered sharply. "And risk revealing that our fleets cannot defeat them? Do you wish the galaxy to see us humiliated again? No, Admiral. If this ship is truly only one vessel, then war may doom us all." Thelen spoke with quiet certainty. "The humans have shown restraint. They disabled, but they did not destroy. That alone speaks of purpose. They came here to talk, not to conquer." Ralek listened to them all, his crest glowing faintly. Finally, he turned back to the human image. "What is it you truly want, Captain Marcus?" The human smiled faintly, but her tone remained steady. "We want what every great species once wanted when they first stepped into the wider galaxy. A place at the table. A voice in decisions that shape countless lives. We want the Consul to recognize humanity as a power. Not tomorrow, not a century from now, but today." The chamber was stunned again. The demand was bold, too bold. Recognition was not given to newcomers. It was earned through centuries of growth, proof, and struggle. Yet here was humanity, arriving at the consul's doorstep, asking for what even ancient species had struggled to obtain. And yet, they had the power to make the demand real, Counselor Vea whispered to herself. If this is their first step, what will their second be? The debate raged on for hours. Delegates argued, shouted, whispered, and bargained. Some feared humanity. Others wanted to ally with them before rivals did. A few dreamed of stealing their technology. But no one could deny the truth. Humanity could not be ignored. Through it all, Captain Marcus waited patiently. She spoke only when addressed, and her answers were always clear, firm, and unsettlingly confident. At one point, Chancellor Rith asked directly, "How many ships like yours exist?" The captain only smiled faintly. Enough. That single word sent a ripple of unease through the chamber. No numbers. No explanation. Only a suggestion that the Dauntless was not alone. As the debate stretched, High Consul Rollick finally called for silence. This session is ended for now. We will reconvene with decision. Until then, the human vessel will remain under watch. The holographic image faded, leaving only the silent projection of the human ship in orbit beyond the moon. But the damage was done. Every delegate left the chamber with the same thought echoing in their mind. If this was only an explorer, what power did humanity truly hold? Aboard the Dauntless, Captain Elena Marcus stood before her crew. They had heard the debates through the comms, the shouting, the fear, the doubt. She looked at them calmly. "They are afraid," she said simply. "Good, fear makes them listen. We will not show aggression. We will not show weakness. We will show them that humanity belongs here." Her crew nodded, determination burning in their eyes. For the first time, humans stood face to face with the galaxy's greatest powers, not as subjects, not as servants, but as equals, and the galaxy would never be the same. The consul chamber had never been so divided. For days, delegates argued in endless cycles. Some were terrified of the humans. Some dreamed of using their power. Some demanded immediate war. Others urged patience, but one truth cut through all arguments. No one could ignore the Dauntless. The human ship remained motionless beyond the orbit of the barren moon. It did not fire. It did not advance. It simply waited. That calmness unsettled the consul more than open aggression would have. High Consul Rollick convened the assembly once again. His crest glowed faintly, betraying his unease, though his words remained steady. "Delegates, the humans have made their demand clear. They seek recognition. Yet before we decide, we must answer a question. Is their strength real or is it illusion? If we grant them power based on fear alone, then the balance of the galaxy will shatter. But if we test them and they falter, then the consul will stand firm." The chamber buzzed with agreement. For many, the thought of testing the human vessel was reassuring. It gave them a chance to prove that their old powers still mattered. Admiral Tavor, his mandibles sharp and gleaming, leaned forward. "Allow me to lead the test. The Dryal fleets have faced worse challenges. We will strike once with measured force and observe their limits. If they survive, then we speak. If they fall, then this farce ends." Chancellor Rith raised a claw. "Measured, Admiral. Do not mistake this for war. One strike, nothing more." Tavor bowed slightly, though the pride in his posture was clear. He was eager to prove the humans weak. Within hours, the Dryal battlecruiser Iron Fang moved into position. Its hull shone with golden armor, and its energy lances glowed with power that had broken countless enemies across centuries. The Iron Fang had been a symbol of Dryal dominance for generations. Inside the consul chamber, the holographic display magnified the scene. Delegates leaned forward, their eyes fixed on the silent duel that was about to begin. Admiral Tavor's voice came over the chamber comms. "Human vessel, this is a controlled test. You will not be destroyed. We wish only to see what you are capable of. If you resist, you risk consequences." A moment of silence followed. Then Captain Marcus's calm voice filled the air. "We understand. Do what you must. But remember, we do not seek conflict. We will only respond if threatened." Her tone held no fear, no hesitation. The Iron Fang charged its main weapon. A beam of focused energy, strong enough to pierce a planetary shield, began to hum with rising light. The consul chamber vibrated faintly, as if even the station itself feared what was about to come. Admiral Taver raised his claw. Fire! The lance erupted. A blazing line of golden energy shot across the void, striking the dauntless dead center. The impact flared brighter than a star, blinding sensors and flooding the display with white light. Delegates gasped. Many expected the human vessel to break apart, to scatter into molten fragments. But when the light faded, the Dauntless remained, unharmed. Its hull shone as calmly as before. Not a mark upon it. The chamber erupted in shouts. Impossible! No ship can withstand that. It must be trickery, Admiral Taver snarled. Again, full power this time. The Iron Fang fired a second lance, stronger than the first, the glow shaking even the consul's protective shields. Again, the Dauntless absorbed the strike without reaction. The human vessel did not fire back. It only spoke. Captain Marcus's voice was calm, steady. We warned you. We will not allow further attacks. And then the Dauntless acted. Without visible weapons, without beams or missiles, the human ship pulsed once with invisible energy. Across the void, the Iron Fang's systems died instantly. Lights flickered, engines silenced, weapons powered down. The proud battlecruiser drifted helplessly like a husk in the void. Gasps filled the chamber. Delegates who had once cheered Drael dominance now stared in silence at the helpless flagship. Then the shock deepened. One by one, every weapon system across the consul's nearby fleet shut down. Cruisers, carriers, destroyers, all disabled in an instant. Entire armadas floated powerless, unable to fire a single shot. The consul chamber was deathly silent. Even Admiral Tavor could not speak. Captain Marcus's voice broke the stillness. We did not come here for war. We came to talk. We do not seek to destroy. But if attacked again, we will defend ourselves. You see now what we can do. We ask again. Treat us as equals, and we will stand as allies. Deny us, and we will stand alone. Her words were not shouted. They were not harsh, but they carried more weight than any threat. High Consul Rallick's claws trembled slightly as he spoke. You disabled every weapon in 100,000 kilometers. How? The captain only replied, It does not matter how. What matters is why. We do not wish to use this power, but we will not hide it either. The chamber fell into chaos once more. Delegates argued furiously. Councillor Vea whispered with awe. If this is their explorer, then their fleets must be unimaginable. Archivist Thelen nodded slowly. I warned you. Humans are never to be underestimated. They survive where others fall. They adapt where others break, and now they are here. Admiral Tavor finally spoke, his pride broken. This cannot be allowed. If they have such power, they will rule us all, Chancellor Rith countered. Or save us all. Think, Admiral. If this power stands with us, then no enemy beyond the stars could ever challenge the consul again. But beneath all the arguments, one truth echoed in every delegate's mind. Humanity had revealed only a glimpse of its strength. And that glimpse was enough to shatter the balance of the galaxy. Back aboard the Dauntless, Captain Marcus stood at her command console. Her crew waited silently. She looked at them with calm pride. They needed proof, she said. Now they have it. The consul will not forget this moment. From now on, humanity is no longer a distant curiosity. We are part of the story. The crew nodded, determination burning in their eyes. And as the Dauntless floated calmly before the consul's helpless fleets, the galaxy trembled with the realization the humans had arrived. The consul chamber had never known a silence like this. Hours had passed since the human vessel, the Dauntless, had demonstrated its strength. Entire fleets had been disabled without a single shot fired. Not one starship remained operational within 100,000 kilometers. Yet no life had been lost. Delegates were exhausted. Some trembled with fear, others with awe. Even those who had once wielded the greatest fleets of the galaxy felt powerless. High Consul Ralak rose, his crystal crest glowing faintly. His voice, though steady, carried the weight of centuries of leadership. Delegates, he said, we are forced to face a truth none of us anticipated. Humanity is not a minor species. They are strong, intelligent, and different. We cannot ignore them. We cannot destroy them, and we cannot pretend this encounter has not changed the galaxy. Whispers spread across the chamber. Councillor Vea leaned forward, her tendrils trembling. Recognition. That is what they demand. But how can we grant it? They have power we cannot control. They could rule every system in this quadrant if they chose. Archivist Thelen's wings flickered as he spoke. Perhaps that is exactly why we must. They could destroy us, yes, but they have chosen not to. They showed restraint. That is a lesson many species have forgotten. Admiral Taver, still struggling to control his pride, slammed his claw on the crystal floor. Lesson? They humiliated my fleets. They should not even be recognized. I will not bow to humans. Chancellor Rith shook his head slowly. And yet, he said, bow or not, we have no choice. Their presence here rewrites the rules. The galaxy will remember this day. And whether we accept it or resist it, the future has changed. High Consul Ralek raised a claw to silence the chamber. Then it is settled, in principle if not in detail. Humanity will be granted recognition. We will open dialogue with Captain Elena Marcus and her crew. They will have a voice among the great powers of the galaxy. We must draft terms carefully, ensuring the Consul's authority is preserved while acknowledging their presence. A murmur of relief and fear ran through the chamber. For some, this decision was terrifying. For others, it was history in the making. Back aboard the Dauntless, Captain Marcus watched the live feed from the Consul chamber. She could feel the tension, the awe, the fear, but she also sensed the opportunity. They are finally listening, she said softly. We do not seek conquest, but they must understand humanity is here to stay. Her crew nodded. They had followed her across hundreds of light years into the heart of galactic power. They had faced the unknown and emerged unscathed. And now the galaxy would see them not as newcomers, not as primitives, but as equals. The first step was dialogue. High Consul Ralek addressed the human captain via the open channel. Captain Marcus, he began, his tone formal. The Consul acknowledges your presence and your strength. We recognize humanity as a significant power. You are invited to participate in discussions, treaties, and decisions that affect the galaxy. Captain Marcus inclined her head slightly. Thank you, High Consul. We seek only to build trust, to learn, and to contribute. Humanity will not seek war where peace is possible. We wish only to be counted among the galaxy's powers and to ensure that our people and others can grow without fear. The chamber was silent. Delegates watched the exchange, realizing that the humans were not only strong, they were reasonable, calculated, principled. Counselor Vea broke the silence. But if they are so powerful, how do we ensure they do not dominate the future? How do we keep balance? Thielen responded, wings flicking. Balance has always been fragile. Yet the humans have shown they value restraint. They acted only to protect themselves and nothing more. That restraint more than weapons is what gives hope for balance. Admiral Taver's mandibles clicked angrily. Hope will not protect the galaxy if they decide to expand unchecked. Their technology, their ships, their presence, too many variables. We cannot rely on goodwill alone. Chancellor Rith sighed. Perhaps, Admiral, you underestimate humanity. They do not seek power for its own sake. They adapt, survive, and protect. That is why they have endured. That is why they will endure here. Days passed, and the Consul worked to formalize agreements with humanity. Diplomatic channels opened. Translators, negotiators, and advisors from countless species scrambled to understand and define what recognition would mean. Captain Marcus remained patient. She guided discussions carefully, never pressing too hard, yet always maintaining the confidence that had brought her this far. In the background, the Dauntless patrolled quietly, its presence a reminder of the truth that had already shaken the galaxy. The Consul realized that humans were not only physically powerful, but also cunning, strategic, and unafraid of difficult decisions. Their methods were different. They did not rely on tradition or hierarchy in the same way as older species. They relied on ingenuity, teamwork, and stubborn resolve, traits the galaxy had rarely seen at such intensity. One evening, after long hours of debate, High Consul Ralek addressed the chamber. Delegates, the humans have demonstrated their strength. They have proven their intelligence. And they have proven restraint. Today the galaxy recognizes humanity. Tomorrow we must learn to work with them. We cannot control them. We can only ensure cooperation. Archivist Thelen whispered to Counselor Vea. The galaxy has changed. We have never faced a species like this. They may become the greatest allies or the greatest challenge our civilizations have ever known. Counselor Vea nodded slowly. But at least now we know their true nature. At least now, we cannot underestimate them. A week later, the formal recognition ceremony took place in the Consul chamber. Captain Marcus, standing aboard the Dauntless but appearing in full holographic form, spoke before the galaxy's leaders. Delegates of the Galactic Consul, she said, Voice firm and clear, we do not seek conquest. We do not seek dominance. We seek only to belong, to contribute, and to ensure that the future of humanity, and of all species, can be shaped with knowledge, respect, and cooperation. We are here, we are ready, and we will not be ignored. The chamber erupted in applause, cautious at first, then more genuine. Delegates realized that the humans' words, like their power, carried truth. Even Admiral Taver, who had opposed them most fiercely, found himself silently nodding. He could not deny it. Humans were different. Their technology, their calm in the face of danger, their restraint, all proved that they were not a threat to be crushed, but a force to be respected. After the ceremony, the Consul convened to discuss humanity's role in governance. They debated treaties, trade agreements, and joint exploration initiatives. Humans proposed terms carefully, always respectful but always confident. High Consul Ralek, speaking privately with Captain Marcus, finally said, "Your species, you have forced us to rethink everything. The galaxy may never return to what it was." Captain Marcus smiled faintly. "Nor should it. We did not come here to change the galaxy by force, but we will not let it ignore us either. A new future is possible for all species, if we work together." And so the galaxy entered a new era. Humanity was no longer a distant curiosity. It was a recognized power. It was a presence to be respected, a voice to be heard, and a force whose actions could not be predicted by ancient calculations or centuries of arrogance. Delegates whispered in every corner of the galaxy. If that was only one explorer, what else lies hidden among the stars? For the humans had arrived, calm, resolute, and unyielding, and every species, every empire, every leader knew one undeniable truth. The balance of the galaxy had forever changed. The humans had come not to conquer, yet none could deny the quiet warning in their actions. They were capable of anything, and they would never be underestimated again.